Hello and welcome to another Alzheimer's Society of Calgary Facebook Talk. I'm Paul Bartel, Manager of Learning and Support Services, and with me today is Dr. David Hogan from the University of Calgary. And today we wanted to talk a bit about how to evaluate claims about new treatments or cures for Alzheimer's disease or other dementias. So,
yeah, I mean, this is, I think, a very big question. It seems every day there's something in the media about a new treatment, a new cure, new intervention for Alzheimer's disease and other dementias. And sometimes these stories contradict each other, and so you should do this, and other ones that you shouldn't do that. So I think the questions you should ask yourself when you see these reports is, does it seem sensationalized? Does it seem overhyped? Does it seem too good to be true? First question I'd ask. Second is, does the story give you some context? Do you understand who was studied or what was studied? For example, with Alzheimer's, many of the initial reports deal with animal studies or studies done on cells, which is a long way from treating people. So you want to know the context. You want to know how many people were studied. You want to know what type of characteristics they had, whether that description fits you or might fit a family member or loved one you're wondering about, inquiring about. So you should consider that. Does the story have a fair balance? Does it give you the whole picture, both the pro and the con? And is there any potential link between the agency carrying the story and the product that might be described or discussed? Because clearly someone has a vested interest in you kind of embarking upon an adventure of trying this intervention and get some financial gain. That would make you a little bit more suspect about whether this is a fair representation.
Yeah, and I've certainly seen some articles. They look very much like a regular newspaper article, but on closer reading, you can see in the fine print it's been sponsored by, so it's not objective. I think one of the other questions I would have or concerns I have is what of these products are subject to any kind of regulation?
Well, if it's a prescribed drug that is marketed or sold to treat a condition like Alzheimer's, they would go through a very strict review by a licensing body in the country. For example, in Canada, the Health Protection Branch. So it would have to show that it does actually work for that indication and that it's reasonably safe to use and that it does lead to overall some benefit for the individual. For things like foods and claims of nutrients or supplements, that's a little bit of a harder to be certain. I do think you would like to look at reliable sources from your perspective, and for example, the Alzheimer's Society of Calgary, if on the webpage there's some discussion about it, or you might raise a question with them. Another important source of information that might put context to the question about whether this would be helpful or not would be talking to your healthcare practitioner and ask their opinion on the matter. And if they're not aware of it, they might be able to direct you to sources of information that might give you a more balanced perspective of the intervention we're talking about.
Right. Great. One of the other considerations that I've seen mentioned is maybe try to understand who the people behind the study are in terms of their educational qualifications and backgrounds.
Yeah, it's ideally when you see a report in the newspaper, for example, or on TV about a study of something that looks beneficial, for example, Alzheimer's disease, you should want to go back to the actual source of that information. And now, while saying that, I have to point out that research papers can be a very difficult read because they're written to a particular audience. A lot of terms may not be familiar to you, but it would be good to make the effort. You'd like to track down the source document, the original study, how many people were studied, what was the objective of the study, who funded the study, was it published in a reputable journal, have other people shown the same finding. You know, if you have confirmatory studies, you'd be a little bit more confident that this might be a useful treatment or intervention for the condition you're reading up about. And you'd like to look at that and kind of make your own opinion. If it's kind of difficult to interpret everything you're reading, again, I would go back to a trusted source, maybe your healthcare practitioner or the Alzheimer's Society of Calgary, and ask their opinion on the matter.
Okay, great. Thank you. Is there anything else you think we should know about?
No, I think the only thing I would add is that we're talking about media reports, but the same issue comes up when you search the internet. You'll find all sorts of sites that would make a variety of claims of benefit. And again, I think you should be open, should ask questions, but be a little bit skeptical of all the claims that are being made. You want to know who is behind that site, why that site is in place. Is there any potential that they might profit from you embarking upon this treatment? Is the information there up to date, and is it balanced? And you'd also like to see it confirmed at other sites and other people are saying the same things.
Yeah, so looking for multiple sources.
Yes,
talking about
always useful. And again, ask people you trust what they think about this.
And I think I should just, multiple people might be talking about it, but anecdotal testimony is not the same as evidence.
No, it's not. And unfortunately nowadays, it could all be a single source, but it turns up in multiple sites.
Yes.
So you always want to go back, if you can, to where did this all started, and what's the level of evidence that this might be a good measure.
A good measure. Great. Well,
Good.
thank you very much. And thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions on this topic or any other, you can reach us at 403-290-0110, or you can email us at findsupport@alzheimercalgary.ca. If you have a suggestion for a topic or a question you'd like to see us address on one of these talks, please leave a comment below or send us an email. Thank you very much, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks.